Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, again, it is a privilege to stand in this honorable place once again. It felt like it was a very, very long break, but we are privileged to be back in here continuing to do the people's business. Also, it is again a privilege to be able to represent the good and special people of East Grand Bahama. I am always and eternally grateful for the opportunity to be able to come into this place and to represent those good people. Madam Speaker, after 3 years, when the government continues to bring up the past, and they continue to speak about what they call the record of the former administration, you know, election time is coming. They met, Madam Speaker, a growing economy. And what they do not speak about, you know, they want to talk about our past, but I want to talk about their present. And their present is about them increasing the cost of living for Bahamians. And that really is the bottom line, Madam Speaker, for the ordinary, everyday Bahamian, is that there are more expenses that this government has placed on the ordinary Bahamian. That is their record. Absolutely. So they've increased the cost of business license fees in the Bahamas. They've increased the cost of customs fees in the Bahamas. Customs fees. Customs fees. You've increased national insurance. You've increased boat license fees. You've increased passenger taxes. You've increased the cost of electricity. You've increased VAT on bread basket items. You've increased VAT on medication. You've also increased air freight cost. And also you've increased frustration on many businesses throughout the Bahamas. The Davis administration's fiscal performance during the 2023-2024 fiscal year, you know, they put out a report just yesterday, a final 2023-2024 12-month report on their budgetary performance from July to June. The report revealed what in my view was some very disturbing trends that underscore the lack of effective fiscal management and strategic planning. You've reduced spending on health, reduced spending on education, but the PLP has once again overspent your travel budget. You've busted your travel budget by 42%. Madam Speaker, the government also seems resigned to this minimum growth level. They seem resigned to this minimum growth level. From 14% in 2021 and now to 1.1% in 2024. We in the F&M, we are convinced that the Bahamas has the capacity for sustained 3+% economic growth. Indeed, the country needs to target this level of economic growth to accommodate the school graduates and to achieve the higher wages and improved standards of living. And that's why it seems as though the Bahamian public are not feeling what you are saying. They are not feeling the good times that you are selling. It is because your economic growth moved from 14% in 2021 back down to 1.1% in 2024. While I fully also acknowledge, Madam Speaker, today I stand to make my contribution to this proposed amendment to the Bridge Authority Bill 2024. While I fully acknowledge the importance of maintaining and improving our national infrastructure, this is an important goal. It is something that we all should be working towards. The Bridge Authority Bill aims to address various issues related to management and operation of our national bridges. What it does, as far as the government has said and what the bill says, is that it adds or has the ability to add properties and bridges to the Bridge Authority. The bill, from my point of view, raises, though, a number of questions. Which properties are anticipated going into the Bridge Authority? I think the member for Central and South Eleuthera, as far as I can recall, only made mention of the bridge in Eleuthera being as their intention on putting that in under the Bridge Authority. Well, is that the only one that you intend on putting in the Bridge Authority? What other bridges do you intend on owning under this Bridge Authority? What other bridges do you intend on constructing under the Bridge Authority? What other bridges do you intend on operating under the Bridge Authority? Do you also anticipate bridges on other islands outside of Eleuthera? There are bridges in Andros. There are bridges in Exuma, bridges in Abaco. Will these bridges also be placed under the Bridge Authority? The purpose of the amendment that you said under, I believe it is under Section 4E, the new Section 4E, is to cause such improvements to any bridge as designated by the minister and so on. So again, what makes a bridge special, and why would the bridge go under the Bridge Authority, and for what purpose would you put a particular bridge under the Bridge Authority? We need to understand your reasoning behind why it is that you will move a bridge from where it is and put it under the Bridge Authority. The central question is, because again, management, as I understand it, is still done by the Ministry of Works. Management also, in terms of maintenance, is still done by the Ministry of Works. No, I'm not talking about the Paradise Island Bridge. I'm saying the present bridges are done by the Ministry of Works. So if you move a bridge from where it's at now to the Bridge Authority, does that also mean that all of the maintenance for that particular bridge, which is in Eleuthera, will also be done by the same persons who manage or who do the maintenance work for the Nassau Bridge? Or is it still going to be done by the Ministry of Works? Again, it is the question. Do you also anticipate allowing the Bridge Authority to obtain funding in order to construct and maintain other bridges throughout the Bahamas? Do you also anticipate charging a fee for the use of any other bridges in the Bahamas outside of those already under the Bridge Authority? Now, I heard the member for Central and South Eleuthera. The member for Central and South Eleuthera said, this bill does not automatically mean that if you move a bridge to the Bridge Authority, that it will now automatically have a fee that is attached to it. But that's not my question. My question is, do you intend on adding any bridge under the Bridge Authority, and do you anticipate at some point adding a fee on that particular bridge? So, for example, the bridge in Eleuthera. Once that's added there, I know it does not automatically mean a fee is attached, but is a fee in your plan? Do you anticipate having a fee for this bridge? Can you say, no, it is not in our plan, no, we do not anticipate a fee being charged on this bridge, or no, we do not anticipate a fee being charged on any bridge outside of the bridges that already have a fee attached? See, again, it is all well and good to say if we pass this today, a fee is not automatic. That's fine. But do you anticipate in the coming months, in the coming years, do you anticipate adding a fee to the bridge? Because again, Madam Speaker, the question that I raise is, if it is purely a matter of funding, if it is purely a matter of getting a loan, the government can get a loan to fix any bridge in the Bahamas. The central government can do that today. But from my understanding, the purpose of moving a bridge to the Bridge Authority is so that funds can be collected for the use of that bridge and then put back into the maintenance of that bridge. That's the whole purpose of the Bridge Authority, is to be able to collect those funds, and then they have the independence. They don't have to have those funds put back into the pool, but they have to be able to use those funds, account for them, and then those funds can then be placed back to maintain that bridge. So it's a question of being able to collect monies. That's also a question. So again, the question is, if you are placing a bridge outside of New Providence, under the Bridge Authority, do you anticipate collecting funds and putting those funds under the Bridge Authority to maintain those bridges? That question has not been answered today. It's not automatic. That's not my question. My question is, do you anticipate collecting fees for any bridges that are placed under the Bridge Authority? Madam Speaker, aging infrastructure, many bridges in the Bahamas, particularly those that were built in the late 20th century, are aging and require ongoing maintenance and upkeep. Over the years, there's been significant investment in bridge maintenance and in new construction projects. The F&M maintained and did a lot of work on bridges. So there in Little Abaco Bridge, work was done to replace the causeway built by the former administration. The Fish and Hole Road Bridge in Grand Bahama was completed by the Free National Movement. Spanish Wells, Roderick Newton Higgs Bridge, work was also done on that bridge in Spanish Wells. Work was also done in Spanish Wells on opening the bridge that connected Spanish Wells with Russell Island. In Long Island, the Newton Key Bridge, work was also done on the Newton Key Bridge. In Andros, work was also done on the London Creek Bridge, and the Stanyard Creek Bridge, work was also done on that bridge. I also heard, Madam Speaker, the member for Exuma speak about the National Investment Fund. Remember, Madam Speaker, this was a bill that we came to this place and we passed. The Prime Minister said in his contribution when we passed that bill was, and I quote him, "Upon passage of this bill, we will immediately proceed with the formation of the Bahamas Resilient Infrastructure Fund, fulfilling our commitment to creating a fund to promote partnerships for development." Well, I would like to ask the question, so what is the status of the National Investment Fund? Has the Bahamas Resilient Infrastructure Fund, has that actually been created? If it has been created, then what is it doing? What is the status of it? What are the projects that are anticipated to be done under that fund? Because again, the bill came here, we passed the bill, there was a lot of fanfare, a lot of hope and promise for Family Island development, but we didn't hear anything about its progress. So what is the status of the National Investment Fund? What is the status of the Bahamas Resilient Infrastructure Fund? Tell us about what's happening with that. Madam Speaker, also, I believe it was either the member for Exuma or the member for Central Eleuthera who spoke about that the government is using PPP policies to advance infrastructure. Well, Madam Speaker, we mentioned this before. Our challenges with respect to their version of the PPP policy. Continuing an unfortunate pattern of ignoring existing government policy, written government policy, parliamentary approvals, and any sense of what we call prudent, fiscal prudence, the current administration continues to take these hidden approaches when it comes to public debt. They are entering more and more of these deals that we do not understand the terms of these PPP policies. That if you are planning on borrowing $100 million for roads, what are the terms of these PPP policies? What is the interest rate? How long? What is it going to cost the Bahamian public? So you may tout the fact that you are using PPP policies, but when you use it, you do not disclose what the rates are, particularly when you have the ability to get funding from multilateral institutions at cheaper rates. The member for Exuma was able to get I believe, 2 or 3% rate. Well, how does that compare? Because you were very proud of the fact that you were able to do that and disclose that, but then why weren't the $100 million worth of roads, why was that deal, what about the interest rate in that deal? How does that interest rate in that deal compare to your 2.5% deal? So tell us about the roads. Tell us about the $100 million worth of roads and what the amount of that $100 million worth of roads is. Madam Speaker, I conclude with this. In Grand Bahama, in East Grand Bahama, there are at least 3 major bridges in East Grand Bahama. But they're very, very important. hugely important for residents in East Grand Bahama. You have the Casuarina Bridge. You have the, yes I have. Yes I have. You have the Casuarina Bridge. You have the Haywood Cooper, you have the Haywood Bridge, Jack Haywood Bridge, the Jack Haywood Bridge. And then you also have the Tano Beach Bridge. And the member for Fox Hill has been very vocal with respect to, I believe, all of the bridges actually, been very vocal with respect to all of those bridges. Madam Speaker, and I want to be as responsible with how I speak about these bridges. I know I have spoken about the Casuarina Bridge on many occasions, and the delay in work, and this is, I don't lay this on the feet of the government, I lay this on the feet of the Grand Bahama Port Authority, because they're the ones who are responsible for them and Lusco, one of their companies, that they are responsible for the maintenance and the upgrade of those bridges. Well, they had the Casuarina Bridge completely closed down for a long period of time, and residents and myself had raised the question of having to travel all the way around using the Haywood, the Jack Haywood Bridge during the time when the Casuarina Bridge was completed. It took maybe 2 to 3 years for them to complete the work on that, and they're still working on the Casuarina Bridge, which appears to be the landscaping and so on this bridge, and you still cannot use the entire bridge because of the work that they have been doing. We are also getting reports of structural damages with respect to the Jack Haywood Bridge. And we are getting reports of structural damage, and in fact, the reports were that not only does the Tano Beach Bridge require repair, but the Tano Beach Bridge is in such a difficult state or such a bad state that it requires a reconstruction. There are also reports that there are folks who are even frightened to go across the bridge because of the state that the bridge is in. Smith's Point is the only access to get in and out of Smith's Point, the Tano Beach Bridge. It is the only access to Tano Beach, the iconic Tano Beach. It is the only access to Tano Beach Hotel. It is the only access to Bell Channel. This bridge, Madam Speaker, and what I also understand is the infrastructure under the bridge, the cables, the telephone cables and waters and all of those things to get into that area also is under that bridge. So that if that bridge is damaged, then all of the infrastructure and so on would also be severely damaged. Madam Speaker, again, I want to be as responsible with this as possible, because again, these are reports that are coming in. No. But I'm just saying, I do not have the, and I say this quite right. I do not have the report that backs up what I've been hearing. But it is sufficient enough that we all take it seriously. And what I would ask the Port Authority, what I would say to the Port Authority and to Lusco to do, is they must have an investigation and assessment done by an independent person that has obviously the approval of the Bahamas government, that does an assessment on particularly the Tano Beach Bridge, but also that does an assessment on the Casuarina Bridge and also the Haywood Bridge, the Jack Haywood Bridge, because these are public access that my constituents have to go through every day, and if, God forbid, something happens to that bridge, it would be a disaster for the areas that need to use these bridges to get back and forward. Disaster for businesses, disaster for residents. And so it is important enough for them to have an assessment done to ensure the safety of all of those bridges. If they do not do an assessment, then I would invite the government through the Ministry of Works, who has access to experts, to have that assessment done. Because again, it is in the best interest of the people who live in those areas. So if I'm calling upon the Grand Bahama Port Authority, calling upon LUSCO, to have that independent assessment done and make that independent assessment public on all three of those bridges. If they refuse to do it, then I would ask that the government, through the Ministry of Works, have that assessment done to ensure the safety of those bridges. It is of critical importance. It is of critical importance to every resident of Grand Bahama that that be done, and that we take every effort to ensure the safety of residents and the safety of businesses using the Tano Beach Bridge, using the Casuarina Bridge, and using the Jack Haywood Bridge. So, Madam Speaker, and once those assessments are done, it is incumbent upon the Grand Bahama Port Authority and incumbent upon LUSCO to ensure that whatever repairs, reconstruction that is required, it is incumbent upon them to ensure that that work is done. And if, again, that work is not done, then I would also request that the Ministry of Works have that work done and charge the Grand Bahama Port Authority and also LUSCO for the work that has been done by the government of the Bahamas, because those bridges are the responsibility, as far as I understand, they are the responsibility of the Grand Bahama Port Authority and of LUSCO. So, Madam Speaker, with those words, we do support the pieces of legislation.